Juan Soto and the New York Yankees have agreed to a one-year, $31 million deal, avoiding arbitration. The three-time All-Star narrowly edges out Shohei Ohtani for the largest contract for an arbitration-eligible player. Soto will become a free agent after next season. In Queens, Pete Alonso and the Mets have agreed to a one-year, $20.5 million deal to avoid arbitration. Like Soto, Alonso is also represented by Scott Boras. The Mets slugger and three-time All-Star will be a free agent after the 2024 season, unless, of course, both sides can get a deal done. In 5 seasons with New York, Alonso's hit 192 home runs, the most of any major leaguer during that span. And usually, if you're represented by Scott Boras, you usually wait until the market tells you what you can get. And that's probably going to be the case. But let's dive into this. Welcome to CBS Sports MLB writer Matt Snyder. Soto and Alonso both avoid arbitration. Matt, what does this mean for both players and both clubs?
It's kind of a formality step here, really. I mean, if anything, maybe a lot of people might have thought that Alonso and the Mets were going to agree to an extension because it doesn't seem like he wants to go anywhere. It doesn't seem like the Mets want him to go anywhere. But, you know, they avoid going to the table and kind of fighting over maybe $1 million or something, which sounds like a lot of money to us, but not that much money when you're talking about 20.5 on Pete Alonso, 31 on Juan Soto. You avoid going to the table and hearing contentious things about each other because arbitration is kind of an ugly process when you go there and both sides are arguing over, you know, the team's basically saying he's not worth as much as he says he's worth. No player likes to hear that. And the player's trying to say, I'm a lot better than you think I am. And so then, you know, you kind of a little bit of a fight there. It's good to avoid that. But again, kind of a formality because players the caliber of Soto and Alonso, especially when the Yankees surely want to extend Soto, and we know the Mets want to extend Alonso, this is probably where it was headed the entire time. The only question for me was on these two, if Alonso was going to agree to an extension before the arbitration deadline, such as Rafael Devers did last year with the Red Sox. I believe it was the day of the arbitration deadline when the Red Sox extension with Devers was announced. Didn't happen with Alonso, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. There's still plenty of time for that to happen.
When you hear about this deal for Juan Soto and they avoid arbitration, you said it was a formality. Does it at all help the Yankees when they try to re-sign, if they try to come to the table with a deal, a long-term extension, by offering this before the deadline happens?
Sure, because my initial reaction was it doesn't hurt. They could only hurt themselves by a player they just traded for saying, you're not worth what you say you're worth, let's go to arbitration and figure it out. Like, that already puts a bad taste in Soto's mouth when it's the first time he's dealt with the Yankees front office on that front. So they needed to avoid doing this. They needed to kind of meet him wherever he wanted to be for this year if they wanted to have any chance to extend him. So yeah, it's from the perspective that they didn't hurt themselves. Sure, that helped.
Yankees also getting a deal done with free agent Marcus Stroman because they reportedly didn't want to meet the asking price for Blake Snell. Deal for Stroman is for 2 years, $37 million with a vesting option. He was an all-star for the Cubs last season, but then injured his hip, struggled in September. Matt, what grade do you give this deal for the former Cubs all-star?
I'll say it's a B. You know, the dollar figure per year, pretty low compared to where the market is for all-star pitchers, the caliber of Stroman. And we've seen him do very well in New York before with the Mets. We've seen him do very well in the division before in the AL East with the Blue Jays before he was with the Mets. We know he's, again, the Cubs are a big stage. We've seen him on many big stages, so we know that nothing's going to faze him here. He's really inconsistent. He at times battles injuries, so you're not looking at an ace or anything like that. But hey, good mid-rotation starter. When he's on, he looks like a frontline starter. And they've already got Garrett Cole at the top of the rotation. They've got others like Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortez, who look like they could be aces at times. Stroman fits right in with those guys. He pitches like an ace at times too. So you could see where this rotation, when going well, could be one of the best in baseball. But we've also seen the downsides with guys like Rodon and Stroman, and Cortez battled injury last year as well. So it might be Cole and a bunch of question marks, but it also might be at times 4 aces. So like I said, a B, pretty good on the dollars there. I like the deal for the Yankees, but I don't love it like an A.
I don't know if you remember this, and you probably do, when Marcus Stroman did the shuffle to Juan Soto. Right here. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
On the road in San Diego. Now he's gonna now it's gonna be like, hey, I'm sure they'll have a laugh about it. I'm sure that do you think these guys even remember that stuff? Or is it more of us remembering it? Like, hey, you think they do?
No. I think some of the big time competitors, they remember almost every situation like that. But I also don't think that these two guys are the types of guys that they would hold a grudge and think anything negative about the player or anything like that. I think they're just competitors, but they both have a lot of fun on the field. Most of the time you'll see them doing things where they're smiling. And Soto shuffle, he loves doing that, but he's usually happy-go-lucky when anybody kind of mocks it. And Stroman is smiling all the time out there too. So especially with them being on the same team, my hunch is they'll have some laughs about it in the spring training clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Yankees need personality. All right, they've got Aaron Judge, but he doesn't show a lot of personality all that much. Stanton certainly doesn't do that. Garrett Cole gets fired up. Nestor Cortez gets animated. You know, you got these guys that sort of liven up the clubhouse. Like, you know, of course we get Soto. That's awesome. But maybe Marcus Stroman will feel comfortable back in the city where he once pitched, and maybe he'll be better. You know, looking at a 4 or a 5 in terms of the rotation, and he can be back into that rotation to help them eat up some innings. We'll see about that. What happens next for the Yankees? But for now, they get Juan Soto, avoid arbitration, and they get a deal done with Marcus Stroman. Matt Snyder here on CBS Sports HQ. Thanks, Matt.